the Wild West, a time of lawlessness, opportunity, and legendary figures whose stories still capture our imaginations today. A land of dusty trails, saloon doors swinging open to reveal high-stakes poker games, and the constant tension between lawmen and outlaws. From the boomtowns of the frontier to the dangerous hideouts of infamous gunslingers, the West was a place where reputations were built with a six-shooter, and survival depended on wits, skill, and a little bit of luck. But the real stories behind these famous figures are often more complicated than the myths. Some were ruthless criminals, others were champions of justice, or at least saw themselves that way. And in between, there were the drifters, gamblers, and sharpshooters who walked the fine line between hero and villain. Today, we're diving into the lives of 5 of the most famous Wild West personalities. Some were heroes, others were villains, but all left their mark on history. Get ready for shootouts, betrayals, and daring escapes as we uncover the truth behind these legendary figures. First up, Billy the Kid. Born Henry McCarty in 1859, he was one of the most infamous outlaws of the West. Known for his quick draw and rebellious spirit, he was said to have killed at least 8 men before meeting his fate at just 21 years old. Billy the Kid's first known crime was stealing food during a harsh winter when he was a teenager. He spoke fluent Spanish and spent much of his time among Hispanic communities. His ability to escape from custody became a part of his legend, with one of his most famous breakouts occurring in Lincoln, New Mexico, where he killed 2 guards. Some say he was left-handed, but modern analysis suggests that his famous photograph was flipped, meaning he was actually right-handed. After escaping jail multiple times, he was finally tracked down and shot by Sheriff Pat Garrett in 1881. His final words before being shot by Pat Garrett were reportedly, "¿Quién es?" Spanish for "Who is it?" But did you know some people believed Billy actually survived? Even years later, men claimed to be the real Billy the Kid. Despite his reputation as a ruthless outlaw, some accounts say Billy the Kid was charming and friendly, often treating locals with kindness. His legend lives on in movies, books, and Wild West folklore. Now, let's talk about Wyatt Earp, a lawman, gambler, and gunslinger. He's best remembered for his role in the gunfight at the OK Corral in 1881, where he, his brothers, and Doc Holliday faced off against the Clanton-McClory gang. The fight lasted just 30 seconds, but became one of the most famous shootouts in history. After the fight, Earp continued his journey across the West, even making his way to Hollywood in his later years, where he became friends with early Western movie stars. Imagine that! One of the Wild West's greatest legends living long enough to see cowboy movies become popular. Earp's reputation remains a mix of heroism and controversy. While some see him as a fearless lawman, others claim he was just as much an outlaw as the criminals he pursued. Wyatt Earp worked various jobs, including buffalo hunter, brothel bouncer, and boxing referee. The Earp Vendetta Ride was a violent chapter in his life, where he avenged his brother's death by hunting down those responsible. Some historians claim that he exaggerated his exploits to build his legend in Hollywood. He was never wounded in a gunfight, despite participating in several. His wife, Josephine Marcus Earp, helped shape his legacy in later years, ensuring he was remembered as a hero. Next up, the tough and fearless frontierswoman, Calamity Jane. Born Martha Jane Cannery in 1852, she was known for her sharpshooting, drinking, and wild lifestyle. She even claimed to have been friends with Wild Bill Hickok, and she is buried next to him in Deadwood. She dressed like a man, worked as a scout, and was known to be as tough as any cowboy. But behind the rough exterior, many say she had a big heart, often caring for the sick and needy. Her story, like many from the Old West, is a mix of truth and legend. Despite her reputation as a rowdy gunslinger, she spent her later years struggling with illness and poverty. Her life was full of adventure, but also hardship. She was rumored to have fought alongside male soldiers in battle, though this is disputed. She took care of sick people during a smallpox outbreak. She performed in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, adding to her legend. Her drinking habits often overshadowed her actual accomplishments. Speaking of Wild Bill Hickok, his real name was James Butler Hickok, and was a legendary gunslinger known for his skills with a pistol and his career as a lawman. He survived numerous gunfights and even worked as a scout for the U.S. Army. He was legally blind in his later years, making his sharpshooting even more impressive. He was a champion marksman, winning duels against the best gunslingers of his time. But his luck ran out in 1876 when he was shot while playing poker in Deadwood, South Dakota. The hand he was holding when he was shot? A pair of aces and eights, forever known as the dead man's hand. Wild Bill's story is filled with drama, from famous shootouts to daring exploits. He remains one of the most famous figures of the American frontier. Finally, we have Jesse James, a former Confederate soldier who turned to a life of crime. He and his gang robbed banks and trains across the Midwest, becoming folk heroes to some and criminals to others. But betrayal ended his life. In 1882, Robert Ford, a member of his own gang, shot him in the back while he was straightening a picture on the wall. His story inspired countless movies, books, and songs. Some believe Jesse James faked his death and lived under an alias. He was deeply religious. His gang used clever disguises to evade capture. His death was immortalized in the song The Ballad of Jesse James. Even today, Jesse James's legacy continues to captivate people. Some view him as a Robin Hood figure, while others see him as a ruthless criminal. Either way, his impact on Wild West history is undeniable. As we come to the end of our journey through the Wild West, it's clear that these legendary figures, Billy the Kid, Wyatt Earp, Calamity Jane, Wild Bill Hickok, and Jesse James, were more than just names from dusty history books. They were larger-than-life characters who defined an era of rebellion, justice, survival, and myth. The West was a land where the line between... Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more history videos that bring the Old West and other captivating moments from history to life. We'll see you next time as we uncover even more stories from the pages of time.